The ability to save money is the same art as the ability to earn it. It is safe to say that those who know how to save money know how to organize their lives. However, despite the obvious need for the ability to accumulate savings and despite the obvious benefits of this skill, even taking into account the inflation that eats them up, many people simply do not know how to save money, because they are simply not trained to do so. Although, it would seem that it is high time to learn this skill on their own, given that life itself pushes us to this, to the ability to save, and not spend money. After all, when you have at least some kind of stash, for a rainy day or for an emergency, it is always good, it is a person's financial security. And any sensible person simply cannot help but understand this. I do not know what brought you to this page, dear readers, but if you read this article to the end, then rest assured you will learn how to save money. And when you learn this, you will understand that this is good, this is right, and this is what you need. Let's ask ourselves a question first: why do we need to save money at all? We need to understand why we need to learn something before we start learning it, you must agree. And money can be saved, friends, for different purposes. You can simply save a certain amount of money for, as was said above, a rainy day, a really rainy day, when everything is really bad and you need money to solve certain problems. Or you can save money to make some purchase you need, for which you need a lot of money, which you do not have at the moment, and which you do not want to take on credit. Well, for example, a car, not many can afford to buy it, only on credit. People do not have money for such a pleasure. Therefore, they are forced to take out loans and overpay interest, that is, overpay in general. But if they know how to save money, and they are, as they say, not in a hurry, then they can save money for a car, which is certainly more profitable than a loan, because it is cheaper, but more difficult, because you need to save. I think that you need to save money for a rainy day, and for all sorts of nonsense that you want to buy for yourself, and also so that it works for you, that is, for investing. It is clear that you are unlikely to be able to save up for an apartment or a yacht, not to mention a large and beautiful house, unless you have an astronomical salary, which most of us cannot afford. But at least you can save up for all sorts of household appliances, electronics, for a vacation and perhaps a car. These are not such expensive pleasures, at least for now, that you cannot save up for them. And taking out a loan for all this is somehow expensive. Of course you can do it, but it is a shame to overpay the interest. Thus, understanding why we need to save money, we ask ourselves the following question: how can we save money? And this is not such a difficult question, in fact, to rack our brains over the answer to it, but it nevertheless requires detailed consideration. We need to make our brain understand that we need it. That is, we need to convince ourselves of the need to save money, for this or that purpose, and not just tell ourselves that it seems like we need to do it somehow. We need to try to save money for something. No need to try, we need to take and save. There should be no if and I will try. There must be an absolute conviction in the need to perform certain actions for certain purposes. This purely psychological moment in its essence, associated with the accumulation of money, it is the most important, and it is to it that I will devote the lion's share of my attention. Here, the issue is not in knowledge, but in the desire and ability to apply it. I can tell you that you should, a tenth or more, depending on your capabilities and needs, simply take and put aside, in order to save money in this way. That is, it turns out that you need to live on a smaller amount of money than you earn. You, in turn, can agree with me and even start following this recommendation for some time, which is nothing new, it has been known for a long time. But, as experience shows, and not only my own, but also the experience of other people, including financial specialists, if one person saves money solely on the advice of another person, for example, on the advice of a financial consultant, he, as they say, will sooner or later break down. That is, he will simply stop doing it, stop saving, he will simply not have enough self-discipline. He will first spend everything that he has saved and will begin to live the same way as he lived before he was given useful advice, and then he will spend all his savings. Why does this happen? Human psychology is reflected in the weak functioning of our brain, which cannot cope with our instincts, which drive us to an animalistic way of life. Some people are simply unable to control themselves to a sufficient extent to achieve serious goals and take necessary actions. They have a problem with self-discipline, a problem with self-control, a problem with self-restraint, a sense of proportion, with understanding something. As people say in such cases, I understand everything with my mind, but my body does not obey me. It is immediately clear that we are talking about a very poorly developed person, whose subconscious controls him to a much greater extent than his consciousness. So it turns out that you can give a person a million useful pieces of advice, you can tell him everything, show him, explain, chew it all over. But in order to implement this advice and thereby benefit from it, a person needs to control himself, and not everyone is capable of this. So I thought, what's the point of me writing about such things, about which millions of articles have already been written? What's the point of repeating common truths, teaching people to save money? I need to somehow teach them to perceive these common truths and apply them in their lives, otherwise this article of mine will be of no use. In that case, I won't be of any use, and I can't afford that. Let's start learning how to save money with your wants, of which I know you have countless, and for the implementation of which, in most cases, you need money, well, or a miracle. Since I am not a magician and cannot work miracles, I will tell you how you can use your desires to learn how to save money. In this case, in order for you to save money for what you want to buy with it, you need to convince your brain that you really want it. I will explain with an example how this can be done. I had a friend who once, to his own detriment, told me that he wanted a house. A normal house, with all the chores, with a pool, a garage, with a mannequin-piece fountain, in general, so that everything was as it should be. And I asked him, what do you do for this? Well, so that the house exists. I say, while I'm thinking about what I can do, I'm still planning, dreaming, thinking, maybe take out a loan or come up with something like that, maybe start a business. And he decided to discuss this issue with me, telling me what he wants. And how long have you been thinking about it? I ask him. Well, he says, I've been thinking about what I need to start doing to get my own house for a month now, so I decided to ask you for advice. I ask him. Business, a high-paying job, a loan, speculation, marrying a rich old woman who has the house you need or money for it, is this not an option? I ask him. I don't know. He says, you need to think about what's better. And I tell him, you don't want a house, no way. He replies that he does. And I say, you don't want one. He says, what the hell, I don't want one, when I want one? And I answer, how do you want one, when you don't want one? In short, this friend of mine, he is no longer my friend, or rather, I am no longer his friend, because, as it turns out, I do not understand him. Now, he is my buddy, not my friend, and in this role, he suits me better, and I, probably, suit him well now. Why did I tell you about this? Friends, to want means to do, not to think, or rather, not only to think, but also to do. You don't have to think too much. That is, you don't have to doubt that you want something. I know all this planning, I've been living for a long time, and as a rule, things don't go beyond that. Yes, you have to think, you have to plan, you have to analyze, but when a person does only this, he doesn't do a damn thing. Because as soon as you start doubting something, thinking about it too much, that's it, your brain tells you, give up this business, boy/girl, screw it, go and rest, watch TV, you don't need to do anything, because you don't need anything, so don't worry. Our body's job is not to work. And there you are, taking out your naturally lazy body and your brain, as part of this body, the most important part, it should be noted, not counting the part that is located below the belt, with your desires, because of which it needs to strain. And when you intend to start saving money, you will undoubtedly strain your body with discipline, and your brain with all sorts of calculations. You see, what the matter is, you need to convince your brain, and it will already agree with your body, that you really need something. You want a house, great, you will of course need to think a little about how it is most convenient for you to provide it for yourself, how to earn money for a house, what business to create, who and how to deceive, if necessary, who to marry or to marry, it does not matter, the main thing is that there is a goal, and you need to strive for it. But you do not need to think for long, otherwise you will think and will not do anything, including saving money. So, if this point is clear to you, then do the following: write down, if your memory is lousy, as many reasons as possible why you need something and why you need to save money. Focus your brain on these convincing reasons, let it believe that you really need a certain, disciplined work of your body, controlled by your brain, due to which you will be able to calmly, without unnecessary stress and torment, save money. You will have to save money, limit yourself in something, deny yourself something, forbid yourself to take and spend the money you have already saved, and at the same time not stop putting aside part of your income under any circumstances. So, in order to endure all this torment, your body and the brain that controls it need compelling and very convincing reasons that give great weight to your desire. Remember, friends, we are people, we want, we do not need to be whipped on the sides like dumb, brainless, lazy cattle, so that we start doing something. We can generate the energy we need to achieve certain goals or to perform certain actions, from within, and not rely solely on external stimuli. But if we are animals, driven solely by instincts, then we will no longer be controlled from within, but from without, and then, provided that you do not control yourself through conscious thoughts, you will need to stimulate yourself not with a carrot, but with a whip. This means that fear will make you save money, and not common sense. Well, just think about the absurdity of this very question that we are considering. How to save money? What kind of question is this? What problems, take and save? Just do not spend all the money you earn or somehow get, but put aside part of this money, and thus save it. Well, what problems can there be here? Apart from psychological ones, perhaps none. True, if you want to quickly save money, then here, one can still say that this is problematic, because saving money just implies the gradual nature of this process, and at one time you cannot so much save money as earn it. No, well, if you stop eating altogether, and will be like some Buddhist monks who live on water alone and save money, say, for the same car, then probably you will save up for it faster than with a full, normal life, when you will at least eat something. But this is not right, you must agree, such mockery of yourself is absolutely not necessary for you. So there are no problems with saving money as such. You either convince yourself that you really want something and will save money for it, and it will be a carrot for you, or you need to give yourself, or with someone else's help, a good kick in the ass, and it will be a stick. In one form or another, your instinct for self-preservation should become an incentive for you. Some people are overcome by greed, avarice, a craving for more, and some are stimulated by fear to do something. And fear, friends, is, as Gavin de Becker wrote in his wonderful book, The Gift of Fear, a great natural gift that a person has. This gift can teach you to save money if you do not want anything at all, you do not need anything, but at the same time, you still feel the need to learn how to save money. Look, friends, let's say you've decided to create savings to protect yourself to a certain extent from various shocks that may happen in your life. Let's say there's an economic or some other crisis, or you get fired from your job, or God forbid, you get sick, or something else, and to solve all these problems, you may urgently need money, in a certain amount. After all, we live in a world of money, and most of our problems are solved with money. Therefore, in order for you to have this money when you need it, you must have it, which is why you need to create savings, regularly putting aside a certain amount of your income, no less than 1/10, and even better, so that you put aside no less than 25% of your income. So, turn on your imagination and imagine how bad it will be for you if at the right moment you don't have the necessary amount of money or don't have any at all to solve a certain problem. Scare yourself properly. Imagine that you have been fired from your job, that you have nothing to pay for your apartment, for your loan if you have one, that you don't even have anything to eat. Imagine it. To better understand the gravity of the situation you may find yourself in without any savings, I recommend that you not eat for, say, a week. Drink only water every day, go to work, do your business, but do not eat at all. Feel what hunger is. After all, for some people, nothing ever gets through their heads, only through their legs, stomach, but not through their heads. Work with your imagination, scare yourself properly so that your brain understands the need to save money. As you can see, dear readers, we are not discussing the technology of saving money here, because it is already clear, spend less than you earn and you will save, but we are talking about working with our subconscious, talking about our psychology, without which it is pointless to save money or do anything serious. Most people today are so loose that they have no control over themselves, and this is their main problem, not their lack of knowledge and certainly not their lack of money. Therefore, you need to pull yourself together, understand what you need, and start doing what you need to do. You need to start saving money, start and save. It does not matter what and how you motivate yourself, it is important that the process itself goes, that you act, and not just drive thoughts in your head from one ear to the other. Some people save money for something they want to buy, some people provide themselves with a financial safety net thanks to savings, and some people want to either start their own business or invest money and need certain funds for these purposes. This is a reason to start saving money seriously, not as a joke. All goals make sense. It is especially useful to save money in order to invest it in something later, in a business, in your own education, in various assets, or, even better, during your life. The more money you have, the more time you can buy with it, which you will spend on achieving the goals you need, or simply on life, on enjoying life. I remember once I didn't work for more than a year and lived on my savings, which were enough to get by for a certain period of time. Of course, I didn't not work at all, I just created a new asset, developed a new source of income, in a previously unknown area, but I received practically no money from my work. I worked for more than a year for free, living on my savings. But during this time I switched to a completely new type of activity for me, which began to provide me with money, and I returned to my previous life. In this way, my savings helped me develop a new source of income, for the development of which I bought myself time. And how long can you last if you stop working? A month, 2, 6 months, a year? Saving money is responsibility, it is discipline, it is a firm understanding of why you are doing it. Or, it is the fear of the consequences that may arise if you do not do this. The outside world will tempt you to spend all sorts of money, they will manipulate you, they will push you to spend all your money, to part with it by any means, and even get into debt. But the outside world does not care about you, all these profiteers and well-wishers, they do not care what will happen to you, to your family, to your money. If you squander all your money, you will become weak, you will become dependent on the outside world, you will begin to depend on some supposedly kind uncle who will buy you cheap, with all your guts, and make you his slave. In general, I believe that you understand that you have something to lose. Isn't this a reason to start saving money? Some people I remember working with, consulting them on financial issues, told me that they absolutely do not know how to save money, do not know how to do it at all. I carefully convinced them that the problem is not in the ability, but in the desire to save money, that is, in their lack of it. Now, if I need to do something and I understand perfectly well why I need it, I will do it, without any talk. You understand, friends, I will do it. Hard, not hard, it does not matter. If I need to do something, I will do it. But why do you need to convince someone that he should take care of himself, that it is important for him to do this, because we are talking about his ass, and not about the ass of a stranger? What problems can people have with saving money? Just go and save it, and do not ask how. And this question, how to save money, is similar to the question, how can I pee in the bushes? Forgive me for such a crude comparison. Just go and do it, better let your conscience burst than your bladder. Save money, and don't bother yourself with how to do it. Don't make up some nonsense like you don't have enough money to save it, or something like every day is a rainy day for you, and therefore saving money for a rainy day doesn't make sense. Or that it's better to take out a loan for a washing machine than to save up for it by waiting a couple of months. You're an adult, all this childish babble is not serious. You either save money, or live one day at a time and aren't surprised that when life slaps you on the sides for it, it turns out to be really painful. When I work with slow-witted people who want to but can't, I usually start to scare them very badly, to teach them to save money or do something else that is useful for them. I explain to people in an understandable way that if they don't save money, then in such and such a situation, under such and such a scenario, they will feel very bad, that such and such an event will happen, that there will be such and such consequences, and I instill this in them, instill it. It's just like I tell a fairy tale about a gray wolf who will come and bite you on the side, you know, like I work with little children. And it helps. That's what's surprising, people learn everything right away, they immediately start saving money, sometimes even so fanatically that they have to be scared in a different way, reminding them of inflation and devaluation, and sometimes of theft, because of which they can lose the money they have saved. Some people, they start saving money so intensively that they stop spending it altogether, that is, they go from one extreme to another and they have a new problem, which again needs to be worked on. So, we teach and educate people in this system, giving them factual knowledge and imposing on them a mutilated model of moral behavior, because of which they then have a bunch of all sorts of problems in life, which they themselves are simply unable to cope with. I have to do this, and other specialists, depending on what problems a particular person faces. But I am not a psychologist, not a sage, not a mentor, I do not enlighten people, I am a person who solves problems, mainly of a financial nature. I am like that same Mr. Wolf from the movie Pulp Fiction, who solves problems. And let other specialists enlighten people, I have no time to fix what the system and selfish idiot parents have mutilated. I will repeat to you once again, at the very end, the most important points related to saving money, so that the right thoughts are imprinted in your head. To learn how to save money, you need to understand why you will do it. Don't, damn it, tell me that it would be cool if you knew how to save money, if you had savings for a rainy day or for something you need, or if you had money so that you could multiply it, and so on. Just take it and start saving money, and do not spend it all. Do you understand the essence of this task? Let's say you were given a salary of, say, 10,000 rubles. Whether this is a little or a lot, this should not worry us, or rather, you. We all do not have enough money. It does not matter how much everything costs in the stores, it does not matter how much this shameful buckwheat has gone up in price or the services of this miserable housing and communal services, or how much the dollar has grown, all this is nonsense. As the late General Petrov, K.O.B., said, may he rest in peace, butter is not getting more expensive, it is Merchant Sidorov who is raising the price of butter, and we must be responsible for our actions and, first of all, control ourselves. Therefore, from these conditional, shameful 10,000 rubles of yours, you need to put aside at least 1,000 rubles in some piggy bank, and if you are used to living modestly, you can put aside a couple of thousand. This will be the beginning of your training in the ability to save money. And, attention, the most important thing, do not get into this piggy bank and do not take what you put aside. Moreover, from your next salary, you will need to put money back into the piggy bank. It will be 2, 3, 4,000, it is up to you and depending on the situation that is developing in your life, but put aside no less than $1,000. You should put aside no less than 1,000 rubles from each salary, if yours is equal to 10,000 rubles. Do you understand me? Every month, put aside no less than 1/10 of your income, and better more, if possible. And do not stick your rake where you put money in order to take this money. Here, do exactly this and no other way, and everything will work out for you. If it does not work out, contact me for help. I will not provide it to you for free, but for you, it will be many times cheaper than not saving money, but instead spending it all, on everything in a row. Good luck!